Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Goddess Amber here. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I know I've been making a lot of videos about like helping out with manifesting and stuff, but today I wanted to go over one of my really big manifestations that came true. And the reason for that is I feel like it would be helpful for you guys to hear like a manifestation story of something that I wanted for years to happen, and like the process of how it came to be, and kind of I remember everything I felt while it was happening and such. So I thought it might be a good idea to just kind of make a video about like a manifestation success that I had. That way you guys can kind of see like what is it that happens, how does the process work kind of in real time, and like what's this process here. So that's what we are going to do. I'm just going to lower this music just a tiny little bit. There we go. Okay, so one of the things that I was manifesting, and this was for years and years and years, was a car. There was a specific car that I wanted, a Jeep Wrangler, and I wanted one so badly. I just thought they were the coolest looking cars ever. Like, I just loved them. I loved how they looked. I'd never been in one, but I knew, like, I was like, I want that car. I just love it, right? I wanted a four-door. I didn't care what color it was. I was just like, I want that. I want that. I want that. Now, at the time, I had a lot of cars, like, leading up to me getting the Wrangler, but I had a lot of cars that were like hand-me-downs, and they were good running cars, but they weren't the car that I wanted. They all had like over 100,000 miles on them. They all had issues, and I was constantly pumping money into these cars to repair them like constantly, and it was stressful because, you know, it's like, it's one thing if you have like a car payment due every month on a certain day, but when you have like a repair that pops up because like you wake up and you go to work and then your car breaks down, and then it's like a $500 repair like that's due right now to get the car working so you can go to work tomorrow, like it's different, you know. So it was stressful. So I had like a long history of having used cars that were good at the time for the purpose of getting me where I needed to go, but for like long term they weren't reliable cars. So I remember sitting there and thinking to myself one day, I was like, I really want a specific, like, I want a Jeep Wrangler. That's the car I want. That's what I want. And I got clear. I was like, I want a Jeep Wrangler, a four-door. Has to be a four-door. I don't want a two-door. I want a four-door. And I started looking into it, right? I started going on websites, and I was looking on like Craigslist. I was looking on like Jeep dealerships. Like, I was looking because I was in the mindset, like, I want this car. This is what I'm getting. Like, I've decided, right? So I started looking on Craigslist at people that were selling Jeeps. I started looking at like brand new ones that I couldn't afford. I didn't have like, not that I didn't have a penny to my name, but I couldn't afford a Jeep right at that time. But I was getting clear on what it was I wanted. I was getting clear on like, do I want two doors? Do I want four doors? What year do I want? Do I want it to be lifted? Do I want one pre-owned? Do I, like, I started getting clear on the details. Once I realized that I wanted a specific thing, I was like, okay, what are the details of this? So that's what I did. I bookmarked a couple of different Jeeps that I wanted. I decided I wanted a certain like range of years. I wanted a certain amount of miles, like kind of thing. I didn't think about price because I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to afford one. Eventually I will, whatever, right? And that's the mindset you need to be into. So I was thinking like, okay, this is what I want. I want this particular car, this like year range, around this many miles, and I don't know how I'm going to get it, but I will get it. And I remember at first I was super discouraged because I would be on the road in my little POS cars, and I would see like Jeep Wranglers, and I remember I would look at who was driving them, and I would think to myself, like, how did these people get one? Like, how did they get this car? You know, because it's not like, it's not like, you could buy one for $5,000. Those cars hold their value. So even though like a pre-owned one is a lot of money, at least where I am, but I was looking and I'm just like, wow, how did these people get these cars? And I started to get like jealous of these other people. And then I caught myself doing that and being like, well, how come they can have it and I can't? Like, I was getting in like that mentality where I was like lacking. And I realized that I was doing that. I didn't know anything about manifestation, by the way, at all during all of this. I probably should have said it at the beginning. But I caught myself thinking like negatively about the fact that I didn't have a Wrangler yet because I wanted one so badly. So I kind of like took a step back and I told myself like, okay, I'm going to get one eventually. I'm getting clear on what I want. Like, I will eventually get one no matter what it takes. Even if I'm like 80 years old and I get one, like, I will get one. It doesn't matter. But I kind of told myself like, all right, I need to look at this different. So anytime I saw someone in a Wrangler, I said to myself in my head, that'll be me someday. That'll be me someday. Someday I'll get one of those. That's it. It'll be me someday. I don't know how they did it, but someday I will have one. And anytime I saw a Wrangler, I thought that, whether I was in a parking lot, whether I was on the road, wherever I was, an ad for one, anything. I was like, someday I'm going to get one. Someday I'm going to get one. It doesn't matter, right? So fast forward, about like a year or two. And I'm not saying your manifestation is going to take this long. This is just my experience with this manifestation. So about a year or two goes by of me doing that, of me sticking to like, I'm getting it. I'm eventually getting it. I don't care what happens. I'm going to get my car. Right. So I wound up getting a letter in the mail from one of my credit cards. And at the time I was building my credit up because it wasn't very good. So I couldn't even like take out like a loan to go get it kind of thing. So I was just kind of like, whatever. So in the meantime, I was talking to my best friend who's really good with credit, and like she was helping me kind of build my credit numbers back up to like a really good spot. So I was working on that in the meantime. And anytime I saw a Wrangler, I was just like, whatever, I'm getting it. Working on this, working on my job, working on, this other stuff that I'm doing right now in my life. And I'm just going to let that unfold because I know eventually I'll get it. So I get a letter in the mail one day, and it's from one of my credit card companies that I have an active credit card with. And it was just like one of those like, congratulations, you could be pre-approved for a for a car loan. And I remember looking at it and I was just like, and like I've always thrown those out. Always. I was just like, yeah, rip, like cool, thanks, whatever. But for some reason, this particular one, I remember I came in the kitchen, I was sitting down, I was eating dinner, and my mom was like, oh yeah, here's this letter you got from your credit card company. And I was like, oh, it's just a pre-approved car loan like letter. And she was like, all right, well, if you want to throw it out, throw it out. And I went to throw it out. And I remember I walked to the garbage can with it in my hand. And I opened the garbage can and just kind of like looked at the letter in my hand. And something inside me was like, don't throw this out. It was just this feeling I had that was like, don't throw this out. And I was like, I felt it. And I was like, this is weird. Like I recognized it. And I was just like, huh. So I went and I put it back, the letter. I didn't open it. I went and put it back on the table. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, don't throw that letter out. I was like, I just don't feel like dealing with it right now, but I'll open it like tomorrow or something. And she was like, all right. I left it there for 2 weeks, that letter. I left it on my table for 2 weeks. I couldn't bring myself to throw it out. And it was so freaking weird. I was like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? Throw it out. But like, I just couldn't do it. Anytime I went to pick it up, something inside of me was just like, do not throw that out. And I was like, what? So after like 2 weeks or so, I came home from work and I was eating dinner and I was looking at that letter and it was still not opened. It was just sitting there looking at me on the dinner table. So I remember I picked it up, I opened it and I read through it and they were like, yeah, you could be pre-approved. And I was just like, yeah, of course. Like, also, I was doubting this the entire time. So I opened the letter and I went on my phone and I went to the website and I was like, all right, like I put in all my information and everything. I was building my credit back up, by the way. So it wasn't very good. So I was like, they're just going to deny me. This is just a waste of my time. And I remember thinking in my head, like, I was doubting it while I was filling out the forms. In my head, I was having doubts. And I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, they're not going to approve me. Like, I'm building my credit. Why would they give me this huge loan all of a sudden when, like, I don't have a good enough credit score to even, like, be qualified for something? Like, why would I get this? You know what I mean? Like, it was just, I was doubting. And the reason I bring that up, too, is because I know a lot of people have doubts while they are manifesting. And they think that if they have a doubt, it's not going to work. This is proof, because I was doubting for a solid, like, 15 minutes. That like, no, this isn't going to work, while I was filling all my information out. So I submit it and they're like, oh yeah, you're pre-approved. And I've never gone through this before. So I thought it was just like an automated, like, yeah, you're pre-approved. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So then they're like, yeah, here's an app, like download this specific app and you could search cars. So I left it alone for another week because I thought it was BS. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So then I wound up coming home from work one day and I was pissed because my car needed another repair. And I was just like, oh my God, like, how am I supposed to freaking, like, live my life over here when I'm constantly putting this thing in the shop? So I remembered, like, that I got approved for that thing. I'm like, let me take a look at that, because, I don't know. I wound up downloading the app, signing up for it, and looking at cars. I put my information in, and they were like, oh yeah, we see your pre-approval, cool. Here's how much you're pre-approved for. Pick any car you want. And I remember I was looking at, like, everything. And I kept going back to the Wranglers, and I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up for this. I don't want to think I'm going to get this if it's not going to work. And I remember I was doubting, I was fearing, I was insecure. I was like, I don't know. Should I go through with this? I don't know. I wound up calling the credit card company the next day and being like, yeah, so I got this letter and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, you're approved. Like, you're pre-approved. They were like, we need a little bit more information from you. Like, if you're going to actually, like, go through with this, like, we need you to verify, like, your job and stuff like that. And, like, how much money you're making or whatever. I think I might have done that before calling them, or I did it on the phone with them. But, like, they needed a little more info, so I gave it to them. And the whole time, like, I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, like, this is gonna, whatever. And I told them on the phone, I was like, I don't want to, like, go through the motions of getting a car and then, like, it doesn't work. And she was like, I understand, but she was like, you're fine. So I wound up finding a Wrangler on the app that I liked. And I called the dealer. It was, like, miles I wanted. I liked the color. And I wound up calling the dealer. And I was just like, yeah, do you have this car available? And he sold it the day before. So I was just like, of course, like, Why would I think this is going to work? Like, why would I think I'm going to get this? Like, what am I doing here? Kind of thing. So then the next day I felt the urge to look at the app again, to look at a car again. And I opened it and I took a look, and they just added that same exact Wrangler in the same color, but a different dealer did. So I wound up emailing them and being like, yeah, I have, I have this pre-approval or whatever. And I didn't believe any of this was actually happening, by the way. I thought that this was going to fall through the whole time. I was going through the motions of this, doubting it the whole time, every step of the way. But I emailed the dealer and I was just like, yeah, I got this pre-approval. I saw the car. Here's like the number, whatever. I was like, I'm interested in it. Like, just let me know, whatever. The dealer calls me back like 2 hours later and was like, yeah, we actually just put that one on the app. We got it a month ago and we did a bunch of repairs to it. It came in as a trade-in and it's here. We just like put it on the website and on the app today. But I'm in New York. This guy was in another state. This dealership, it was in another state. So we were trying to coordinate for me to go down there and view the car. And I told him, I was like, I have a pre-approval and all this. And I was like, I'm nervous though, because I don't want to come down there and then it gets denied. And he was like, well, if you're at this point where you have all these confirmation numbers and stuff, like it's pretty much a guarantee. But he was like, it's up to you. So I remember I was outside on the phone and the guy that I was talking to, this dealer with this car, I was like, okay, well, I'm at work right now. I'm at work tomorrow, and then I can come over the weekend because it's in another state. So I was like, I can get there. I can get to the other state. It's not a big deal. But I was like, I just, I don't know if this is going to work out. So he told me that he was off the next day, and he didn't know, like, he was like, is there any way that you could put some money down on this car? Because he was like, I'm not going to be here, and if you put down like a deposit over the phone with a card, I can put a sold sticker on the car. That way my coworkers tomorrow don't show this car to anyone with me not being here. He's like, I don't want you to come first thing in the morning, on the weekend to out of the state to see this car and someone sold it the day before because I wasn't here. So I wound up being like, do I have to, you know what I mean? Like I was going through this whole time, I was going through this internal conflict of like, what should I do? But I wound up like quieting myself and listening to my intuition. My intuition said, just do it. So I gave him my card over the phone, put a $100 charge on it, and he slapped a sold sticker on the car for me for the day. So then that weekend, I wound up going, and I brought my grandfather with me because he didn't want me to be alone. So we wound up taking the trip together. The dealer, and this is proof, like that the universe will move things around to make this work, because this car was out of the state, and I told him, like, I can take the ferry to get over there, but like, I'm not going to have a way when I get to the other side. I guess we could get an Uber or whatever, but we weren't thinking like that. We were just kind of like, well, how are we going to make this work? And the dealer on the phone told me, I will come pick you up in one of our cars. The dealership isn't that far from where you'll be dropped off. I will just come pick you up and bring you to the dealership to go see the car. And mind you, I didn't tell him I was buying this car. I told him I was going to look at it. But I did put like a tiny deposit down on it just to hold it. But he was like, I'll credit it back to you if you don't buy the car. It's not a big deal. No worries, kind of thing. So like, I didn't even tell him like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to buy this. Because I didn't even think my freaking loan was actually approved. I thought it was just like all like BS. So we get to the ferry. We get to the other state. He comes, he picks us up, and then he takes us to the dealership. And the second that I saw that car, like I physically saw it, I knew for a fact. I was like, that is my car. That's my car. And I remember turning to my grandfather because like we went in, we did some paperwork. He made copies of our stuff. He wasn't allowed to come in the car with us to do the test drive. I had to cut because my dog was just going crazy. Somebody dropped off a package. But anyway, so we get to the dealer. He couldn't even come sit with us in the car for the test drive. So he left. And I remember telling my grandfather, like, I was like, I want to buy this car. And I didn't even like do anything. I just sat in the driver's seat. And he was like, go for it. So we did the test drive for like 5 minutes or so. And then I brought it back and I wound up buying the car. I brought my old plates with me just in case, but everything wound up working out. We signed all the paperwork. We called my insurance company to switch insurances because my previous car was left at my house in the driveway with no plates on it, just in case I decided to buy the car. So everything was already set up, and like my insurance company already had the like the VIN number for the new car and everything, because I had done like a quote with them to see how much my insurance would go up before I decided to even go see the car. But long story short, that is like how I wound up getting my car. That is how I wound up getting my Wrangler that I've wanted for years. And that car was like made for me. But I wanted to talk about this because it really shows, you know, that the universe just works in in ways like when you're manifesting something, if you feel like you're not going to get it, like once I shifted my mentality from how do all these other people have this car and I don't, what's wrong with me, why can't I get this, to all of a sudden like, nope, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it. And anytime I saw that car, I told myself, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it. I don't care what happens, I don't care how or when that car is mine. I told myself if I'm on my deathbed and I buy a freaking Wrangler, I'm still gonna get it. Like, I'm getting that car, it doesn't matter what happens. And the entire process, I was doubting it. The entire way through, I was saying to myself, like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? Like, what if I go out there for nothing? What if this was all BS? What if, like, there's some problem unexpectedly when I get to the dealer and I go to sign the paper? Like, I was doubting it. But it also felt right. It also, and the way that things unfolded too, like, I was telling myself, like, oh, that's weird. That, like, oh, they sold that. The Wrangler that I looked at the first time that I wanted, they sold the day before. So it was like, oh, this whole thing. And then they just happened to put the one that I wound up buying on the website like the next day. And I had this feeling, not knowing that car got put on the app, to look at it, to like go look at the app and look at the Wranglers again. And that's when I found that one. And it met the colors that I wanted. It met the miles that I wanted. And the price, I didn't care about the price because I was pre-approved for a loan. And it covered it, by the way. It did. It was fine. But also, like, we wound up working out, like, with the dealer, like, we added the, like, insurances onto it and stuff that it, like, needed. We talked the price down. And, like, I wound up putting $0 down on that car when I bought it because my what's it called? Pre-approval covered everything. So I wound up paying, I got my money back for, like, holding the car for the day. But just, I wanted to make this video because the way that things unfolded, and that was a big, big, big manifestation. Like I said, at the time, I didn't know anything about manifesting. Not a damn thing. Not a single thing about it. But I persisted. Every time I saw that Wrangler on the street, any Wrangler, I told myself, eventually I'm going to get that car. And even during this entire process, when things were happening, I was still doubting along the way. I was still calling the insurance company, calling the credit card company, and asking, like, what if it doesn't go through? Are you sure? Are you sure that this is going through? Are you sure? And then the way that everything unfolded, where, you know, the guy happened to be away for a day. So I was met with the decision, like, am I going to put money down on this car? Should I do this? And then I also had to, like, come to the decision of, like, should I even go out of the state to see this dealer, to do this? You know, it was like a whole thing. There were so many little tiny things along the way, but the way that it all unfolded, looking back, that was the bridge of incidents. I got clear on the fact that I wanted a Wrangler. I looked at it. I switched my mentality to, I'm eventually getting this, and it doesn't matter what happens in between and when I'm getting this. And then naturally, things started to unfold. Even with, like, a credit score that wasn't good, I was able to magically get pre-approved for a credit card. Not for a credit card. I was magically approved for a auto loan that covered the cost of the car I wanted, that was the perfect mileage, the colors I wanted, 4-door, not an old car at all. They just happened to get it. They had it at their dealership for a month, and they just decided to put it on the website and on the app. And that same day I found it and was able to put money down on it to go view it. The guy was able to come pick us up from the ferry and drive us to his dealership, knowing we may not even buy the car. Like, it was just the way that things unfolded. And then we were able to talk them down as far as price goes. My insurance company already knew what was going on, so that was painless also. Like, everything was just, we drove the car same day, put it on the ferry to come back to my state, and drove it home. And it's been here ever since. So the main point that I'm trying to make here is that those big manifestations that you think are never going to come, they are going to come. You're going to get them. But a lot of us, I feel, get stuck when it comes to the mentality of it. Like, just tell yourself you're going to be getting it. It doesn't matter. Do what I did with the Wrangler, where anytime you look at that particular house, job, whatever, person, whatever it is that you want, just be like, I'm going to get with them. I'm going to get that job. I'm going to move. I'm going to be making this money, get that vehicle, get that home, whatever. Whatever it is you're trying to do, just tell yourself, like, you're going to get it. And then just anytime you think about it, tell yourself you're going to get it, you're going to get it. And I want to reinforce the point that I was doubting this entire process every step of the way, and it still worked out perfectly for me. So don't think that if you have some doubts that it's not going to work out for you. All right? I hope this video was helpful. I thought it would be a good idea to talk about one of my big manifestations. I don't know, I just felt the urge to do this, so I hope this helps you guys out. I hope this gives you a little bit of clarity and makes sense for you guys. Just keep persisting, keep pushing it, because you're gonna get it. It's meant for you. All right? Have a good day. Bye.